I don't know about you, but I get tired of making the same crap over and over. A square here, a drawer organizer here. And after all the time I spent in the shop, I realized I've never made a circle before. If you've seen anything I do, you know I can't just make one circle. I had to make 8 circles, most of which were different sizes. And to make it more difficult, I wanted all the circles to be perfectly concentric. Check out this paper towel holder I made. But before I babble on too long and your eyes start to glaze over, let's go over to the workbench and I'll show you how I made it.
All right, let's try to cut a circle. So let's take this over to the bandsaw and then we'll break it free. All right, now we got this circle made. And I want to make another one that's about an inch bigger. So this is the second time I've done this. It should go substantially faster. All right, so now I'm going to set up the router table, flush cut this off. So we got 2 circles with holes. All right, so we can use these holes to index them to each other.
Before we glue these 2 pieces together, let's iron on some edge banding just to make life a little easier.
This is going to be a pain. It's going to make sure it stays lined up. Yeah, this is going to be a pain in the ass. I thought this would be done in like 5 minutes, man. This is kind of silly. I can't believe it took me 50 minutes to edge band this. All day long I thought, yeah, we have a lot done tonight. Nope. Nope, not at all. Let's sand this down a little bit. Let's make the corners not so rough. Alright, so by putting a dowel in here, should index everything and make it perfectly centered. I'm not going to overdo it with the glue. I don't want to get too close to the edge. I don't want to deal with glue out or glue out. I don't want to deal with glue out. I don't want to deal with a bunch of squeeze out. This is actually more glue than I thought. Like, this isn't going to be a stressed joint. It's not load bearing, so it's not super critical for it to be a perfect glue joint. Clamp, clamp, and probably put a paint bucket there.
You only need 2 pieces of hardware for this entire project, and the first is called a hanger bolt. The bottom half of this screw is a coarse thread made for going into wood, and the top half is a fine thread made for going into bolts or inserts. The second piece of hardware you need is called a threaded insert. This little piece right here.
Enough. It's just going to be like an extension of the clamps. What I'm thinking is we have to hold it flat, don't let it roll, and don't let it go back and forth. All right. bottom doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be concealed by the paper towel roll. It's the top that's important because I'm going to put an ornamental top on it. Insert the hanger bolt, and when you insert this into the base, you can feel it if it's wobbling. And if it's not wobbling, close enough. See if this goes into the base and it's not completely crooked and flat. If it fits flat and it's not crooked, I mean, looking at it like this, it looks like it's perpendicular to the bottom, so. I might have to put a little dry lube on these threads. That's a real gritty thread. That feels like it's pretty centered, dude. It doesn't feel like it's wobbling around much. That felt a lot better than the last one. Let's put a square up to it. See how square it is. All right, we're gonna try 2 different squares. We're gonna try the small square I got to make me feel better, and then we'll try the biggest one. Let's see if this translates to screen. That doesn't look bad. It is, I can tell in real life that this is off by a little bit. So I'm gonna switch out the extremely tiny square for the big one. It's hard to tell, but there is a tiny gap right here. Let me grab a playing card, see if we can put a playing card between it. So we got a 5 of spades. Yeah. You can fit it through the bottom, which isn't good. It means it's not perfect, but we're not making aerospace stuff for rockets. You put that on there, you have no idea that's off just a hair. I think the last goal I have for today is to do what I thought I did yesterday. We're gonna drill a hole in the other end, and it's gotta be pretty close to center, because I wanna make like a little ornamental top for it. But it's all gonna be concentric circles, getting bigger and bigger. But I'm pleased with that. You can see a blank spot. Now I'm cooking with butter. See that little blank spot in the middle? That theoretically should be the middle of this dowel. I can use the table to help hold the drill guide flush. I think we just made a more accurate hole with a hand drill than with a drill press. So I'm gonna stick a dowel in here. And it looks pretty square. Alright, so I'm starting to make the top. Essentially it's going to be concentric circles that get bigger, 3 of them. They get bigger by 3/8 inch each time. I'm going to use this dowel. 2 of the circles are going to come from the original stock. So I got to drill another perfectly centered hole in this thing. Some viewers on my last live stream showed me this little trick. So now let's clamp this thing down and drill a hole. Let's flush with the table. See why in a second. Now it's got to go at least 1 inch deep because I need 2 half-inch rings. And I think to get identical sizes at the miter saw, I think I'm gonna have to use some blue tape and a stop block. So I want 2 wooden rings that are a 1/2 inch thick. Pretty sure a 1/2 inch cut is gonna shoot out the back. So I may put a piece of, no, I can't put a piece of duct tape there. Oh, yeah. Stop block, blue tape, super glue. All right, let's find a stop block. So here's my normal stop block. Clearly that's too short. So we're gonna add something in here. My thought is mark 1/2 inch on here, blue tape and super glue to the stop block. That way it doesn't just go flying out the back of my miter saw when it gets cut free. Never tried this before. Probably gonna go get the glasses. Yeah, I ain't got much blue tape at all. So I'm gonna put super glue on this end because I don't want to have to spray activator on my miter saw. I'm sure it's not good to breathe this activator, but there's something about it. I don't know. It kind of smells like a new shoe or something. Probably killing brain cells. I don't know. See if this keeps that from flying off. I'm gonna go slow. Hey, it worked. We got a little 1/2 inch ring. I figured it would just blow out the back. All right, let's do it one more time. Coolio. So now we got 2 identical little rings. A few weeks ago, I made this hammer at the bandsaw. I do not have a lathe, and I made a jig. These Miles Craft fingerboards or feather boards, whatever they're called, have this miter gauge guide. So I'm thinking I can use this guide rail to make a jig for the bandsaw. So this circle is kind of a fixed point, so we'll mark there. We'll just mark 1. I would stay there for stability. Let's make a hole big enough to accommodate that. Massive tear out. Paint grade plywood. There we go. There we go. So I need to chop off. I'm gonna take this back to the miter saw and chop off not yay much. So once I get this installed here, I'm gonna cut it with a blade and then measure out the distance from where the blade cut and install dowels. These will actually get so tight that I won't be able to slide this. So the key is to get it as tight as you can and then back it up just a hair so you can still slide it. See, it's nice and snug. We're going to cut 3 chunks of 1/4 inch plywood here in a minute. Alright, so we're going to turn these blanks into circles. And we're going to do that by putting dowels in these holes. We're going to super glue a dowel into our jig. Oh, I almost super glued my finger to the jig. Now we got our jig. Slip our blank on there. So like I said, I'm not going to be able to completely spin the blank and make a circle because This is a resaw blade. It's very thick and not very nimble. And I don't have a scroll saw. So what I might have to do is probably for a while just slide this back and forth. Like this. Until it's a workable blank. Alright, let's hope this works. Try to get this one a little more flush with the bottom because it kept snagging on that center plate. I thought it was going to throw off that first circle. Dude, I love this stuff. The jig handle's getting in the way. And then I'm gonna, after I glue this together, I'm gonna flush cut that off. With those tools, that's a router, a bandsaw, and a drill. You can make something like this. And the next day or two, I'm gonna make a French cleat holder for it, and you'll see it back there. And it would be a lot easier to put the hardware in the bottom of this rod, as opposed to the top. Damn, it's a long thread. How long's the thread on that thing? What's happening here? Well, we might have a problem. I think it's just spinning in there. There we go. Because I knew it'd be easier to put the hardware in the base than to put the hardware in the middle of that mess. Well, this is, uh-oh. I didn't think this through. Here we go. But yeah, I'm gonna paint it off camera, glue it up. Watching somebody paint is like watching paint dry. So, how many times I gotta spin this damn thing? There we go.
If you don't know by now, woodworking is a hobby gone wild for me. I have a day job. 90% of the time I'm out here, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm literally just a stooge in the workshop. And if I can make something that looks as complicated as this, anybody can. So get up and do it yourself.